folks, welcome back to another episode of the Retail Perch. And I know the last episode, if you guys listened to it, I did a solo job, and I was not, Gary wasn't available for various reasons. Apart, one of them being consuming something he should not have consumed that made him tremendously sick. So, but it's great to have you back here, Gary.
It's good to be back, and certainly good to be feeling better.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, the first couple of minutes in that episode, I was completely lost. I kept expecting you to ask the question, so these awkward pauses in the conversation, but I guess we won't have them today.
No, we are back.
Yes, and Gary, this will be the year we hit the 3-digit mark in the number of episodes on Retail Perch.
Wow.
So that's going to be pretty exciting. But as we promised, the new year, we're going to bring you new guests and very interesting topics. And today we happen to have Carol Leaman, and Carol has a very illustrious background. And so I'm going to let her take the time and explain what she's done. But she has been a leading executive CEO of many companies in the retail space, and now is doing something very exciting. So Carol, great to have you on the Retail Perch.
Thanks very much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Yes, the last 10 years of my life has been consumed with Axonify, and retail is more than half of our business. And so I've become immersed in the industry and the needs of the industry, and really excited to be talking about the evolution of retail here with both of you.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the first time, Gary, with all the different topics we have touched upon in Retail Perch, we're really talking about employee communication tools. And, it's such an important part because, when a consumer walks into the store, really what they interact with is the employees in the store, and how well they're trained to greet you and work with you is such a key part of the experience. So I'm excited to talk about this topic,
Yeah,
Carol. So.
And I think the timing is very interesting. But Carol, maybe give us just a quick sort of overview or synopsis of your company and platform, what you do, just to sort of set a foundation here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a frontline enablement solution that is focused on organizations who do have very large populations of frontline workers of many types, but obviously retail, grocery retail, all the parts of retail are the kinds of companies where the majority of the people they employ are on the front lines dealing directly with customers, and therefore have a very, very big impact on the business. And so what we allow our customers to do is communicate with those employees directly, because as you both know, those employees don't have email addresses with those organizations. So communicating with them is difficult, but we train them very specifically on skills and task them with the things that they need to do day in and day out, and a whole host of other things that really just enable that employee to perform at their peak, perform their best for the organization. And then, of course, we measure everything and tie it back to business results.
Yeah, I'll tell you where I saw the value of platforms such as yours just explode was in the early days of the pandemic. I saw retailer after retailer, because most did not have that type of capability in place, right? Retail is just scrambling, trying to keep up with fast changing rules, regulations, cleaning policies, store hours, everything, right? And, trying to put signs up in the break rooms, and it was unbelievable. So be really interested to hear maybe some of your experience around that time and what you saw happen.
Gary, you are so right, 10 times over. And we had a situation in March of 2020 where retailers instantly sent thousands of people home from work, had no way to communicate with them en masse, had no idea how long this was going to last, and then how they would get them back. And we actually had the CEO of one of our customers, Foot Locker, he was interviewed in a publication shortly thereafter and made the comment that they had this thing called Lace Up, which was Axonify. And that if they had not had Lace Up to be able to communicate en masse and through various, employee segmented channels, what was going on, what to expect, how they should be thinking about how Foot Locker was thinking about the pandemic, there would have been no way to communicate with those individuals and assure them that, they were still there, they just hang on, all of that. It would have just 35,000 people dispersed. And we had another customer in Texas, iMart Express, a smaller retailer. And the CHRO said to me that she is convinced that without the platform, they would have lost 4,000 employees, and they would have had to go and find and rehire 4,000 employees the moment they were allowed to reopen the store. And so obviously, we can all imagine the disruption to the business of not having that ability to communicate with those employees in a situation like this. So those were two very tangible examples of how just a one-to-one communication platform essentially saved, as the CEO of Foot Locker basically said, it saved their bacon because, it was that important.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. So how did you come up with this? I guess you're the founder of the company, right?
Yes,
from what
I
see.
have a co-founder. Yeah.
What are the origins?
The origins of the business were actually a retailer and who was training 20,000 people using very traditional means. And, posters and break rooms, as you just mentioned, written material, daily, sometimes little, information sessions or weekly or monthly, whenever they needed to convey something. But, sporadic, one size fits all, not personalized to the individual or the store or the situation. And they were experiencing two areas of significant loss, not unique to them. And they were theft of merchandise in the stores perpetrated by the employees through ORC and various other means, but also OSHA reportable medical accidents and injuries in the stores and DCs. And they got a new head of asset protection who said to us, all this traditional stuff doesn't work. It does not work to change anybody's behavior. We keep these associates for, anywhere from 3 to 6 months on average, if that. And we need a way to convey information to them quickly, specifically, and in a way that is actually going to get them to pay attention and change their behavior in ways we need them to impact these business results. So we came up with this idea of what if we made the information fast, fun, very accessible on the point of sale terminals and specific to those two topic areas. And then we just make it very engaging so they want to get on, learn something new each day and see what happens. And so we built a very basic platform to do that. They bought it. And lo and behold, of the typical $100 million a year in an average year they were losing, they saved $40 million that first year. Wow. And it was through sheer behavior change.
Wow.
And we saw through the data, of course, the frequency of usage was astronomical. They got 90%, over 90% daily voluntary participation in this quick, fun learning experience. Yeah, so that was the beginning, and we knew we were onto something, and we just doubled down on the concept and built it out, and here we are 10 years later.
Wow, it's neat. That's neat. And you're able to include, for example, short videos, that type thing for training and so on.
Exactly. Whatever is, part of the culture or the training approach that the organization wants to take. The key, though, is short. And so one of the things we've done over the years is incorporate 3 proven cognitive concepts that drive memory and retention and behavior change faster than any other mode of learning. And we've now proven over a decade that these cognitive principles, which include short, targeted content, are the most effective way to get somebody to remember something and therefore do the right thing. So the short videos, whether it's video or, sort of like a little slide deck, even as short as simply asking somebody 3 questions with no preamble. 3 questions targeted to specific content can be highly effective at getting somebody to remember the things you need them to know.
And I'm thinking, Gary, I mean, this is terrific. I mean, like a retailer that wants to launch loyalty, they really need to get their personnel trained, and
Yes.
the whole message has to be ingrained, and platform, and very often we see they try to get signage into the store. Sometimes the signage stays up, sometimes it goes down, and they hope that the signage is going to do the job. And it's a classic issue when you're trying to launch any kind of program, banner wide. Because of, like you said, there's a lot of rotation in staff. So, at least you have a constant messaging channel now to keep everybody on the same step, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like the idea of this kind of platform. I think any retailer, from one store to 5,000, 10,000 stores, can really needs something like this today.
Right. And I'm sure you guys have included, I think from what I saw on your site, gamification, keep it interesting and fresh all the time, because, initial adoption of a tool is fantastic, but, you can have this drop off if it gets monotonous and loses its freshness. So do you work with a retailer on creating these gamifications, or something that you provide as a added feature on your platform?
It is embedded in the methodology that we use. So we employ about 15 different game mechanics, I would call them, that are also proven to drive engagement and interest and excitement and the dopamine effect that does want people or cause people to want to come back every shift. And so we've done things like we've built short little games that are casual game style games or brain teaser style games. You can choose whatever you want every day. Things like leaderboards, competitions, rewards, where you use your learning points to bid on eBay auction style prizes, various things like that. And depending on the culture and the environment of the retailer, they can choose different aspects of that to employ, choose all of it, choose none of it. We highly encourage it though, because again, we use a lot of machine learning to understand how to drive behavior change. And the game mechanics are highly effective if you employ them. So, there's lots of organizations who can offer rewards. We have lots of ways to get around that to still incent the employees to get something out of it. And so there's the intrinsic rewards and the extrinsic rewards. Interestingly, we all like to be smart as human beings. Nobody likes to not do a good job at work. Everybody wants to do a good job at work. And so if you are able to demonstrate that you are providing knowledge and information suited to them in the moment, they recognize that and they therefore want to come back and do it again because they know it's benefiting them and their careers.
Right. That's really cool. So in terms of the mechanics of how this works, so typically I'm guessing white label this for the retailer, and it's a mobile app that every employee has to download and register on, and your backend is what's being used to drive the communications to those employees, right?
That's correct. It's on any device actually that's accessible to the employee or the associate. So, if it is a point of sale terminal, that's a key access point. If it's a Zebra device, in the store, in the warehouse, mobile devices are becoming much more prevalent and allowed. Doesn't matter to us what it is, whatever is most accessible to that employee in the moment of need. And when they have 3 minutes a shift, is what we encourage. So it does depend, and it's not relevant to us what it is. It's whatever works for the
So
employee.
you're able to cover 100% of the employees in terms of reaching them,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It was just terrific. I mean, that's really what needs to happen. If you can't have a tool that's only reaching 80% and 20%, I mean, yeah, terrific.
Yeah.
So what's the I obviously you've evolved as a product from the day you started. So tell us a little bit about how that product has evolved and where is it today?
Yes, when we first started and we had that initial use case and realized we were onto something, I built a product roadmap that was very extensive. And, I had this intuition that if we could get the level of usage and adoption that I thought was possible across a wide array of retailers, that those discrete data points every single day per employee would allow us the opportunity to understand what really was driving behavior change. And so we use that data to really evolve the platform into a whole bunch of areas. So one of the first ones was something we call Discover. We realized that there are many circumstances where an associate gets asked a question and they don't necessarily know the answer. They need it at their fingertips, though. 2 clicks, 10 seconds. So we built a repository that.
Oops. Got a little pause on the internet. Carol, maybe you'll come back.
Allows data.
Karen, just 1 second. I think there was a little glitch in the internet. Can you repeat that? We'll edit that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I got to think of where I started there.
Yeah, the evolution, the roadmap. You were talking about the roadmap and how you built the roadmap out.
Yes. So we took that very initial use case and the grains of what we thought was possible. And I had the intuition that if we were able to get a lot of data collected by employee from a wide array of retailers, that we would be able to apply machine learning to that data and statistically correlate what was working and what wasn't to change behavior. And so we used that data to start to build out areas of the platform that we knew were going to be super useful based on the usage we were getting. So things like something we call Discover, which is a searchable database, 2 clicks, 10 seconds, where the associate needs to find something in the moment. That was one aspect. A second really important aspect is something we call Impact. Impact takes data from the store, whatever they want us to correlate. So for example, sales data of a particular product. And we correlate that with the knowledge of the associate in that product area. And we can tell the retailer, for example, if you are able to drive 85% knowledge to 90% knowledge in that product area, you will sell 1% more of that product. And 1% may not sound like a lot, but in the case of a large retailer, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So correlation of data with business outcomes is what we developed in the Impact module. We have added robust communications. We've added task management. We've added a whole host of deeper learning capabilities to the platform with onboarding. skills assessments, things like that, that again, really come from customer requests, certifications in certain areas where they're required to be certified by a date with specific knowledge. So customers give us, the best ideas, and we're always trying to stay ahead of the market, but also meet those customer requirements as they happen and really extend the value.
Yeah, I would think one of your challenges is you've built out the platform and there's more and more, content in whatever form available on it, is keeping everything, I guess the word coming to mind is shallow, so that that employee or associate can find what they need quickly. So they're not standing in the aisle surfing Axonify for half an hour, right? Instead of taking care of shoppers.
Right.
Exactly right. That's exactly what happens. We have best practices around how to make sure you garden and edit and keep everything fresh so that it is very easily searchable, findable, and relevant to the individual in that moment. And, one of the things that we also know is traditional learning methods have had organizations just boil the ocean where content is concerned. Like, here are 100 topics we need everybody to know. And the reality is, if you hire somebody to work in the deli, they need to focus on deli related content, not how not to sell cigarettes to minors, because they're not doing that job. Now, if you need that individual to be cross-trained because they also might be a cashier if there's a need, then focus, the subsequent content on that. So we have a whole methodology to make sure the associates aren't overwhelmed, the content stays fresh, and it isn't just a matter of piling on and piling on and piling on and getting overwhelmed, which is
So who's creating the content? Is it the customer, the retailer is creating the content, and you're basically just giving them guidelines of how to go about doing
Best
it?
practices.
Yeah. So all of our customers have loads of existing content in all the topic areas they want trained on. It's really interesting. Oftentimes when we start with an implementation, it causes them to go, you know what? We need to refresh our onboarding program. We need to refresh how we train on XYZ. And it's a really good thing because we work very closely with them to take that existing content and do what we call Axonify it. And then we train them on how to continue to garden, add to, get rid of or pause content that's not relevant anymore. But we also have, we came to realize there's a lot of content that is very common across retailers. And so we built a library of pre-Axonified topics. There's about 700 of them that any of our customers can just look at the library, download those topics into their instance, and immediately deploy. So they don't have to create the content themselves.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So as I've talked to different retailers about this type of capability, sooner or later, one of the concerns that comes up is around the security of information, data, that type of thing that might be conveyed over that. Because all of a sudden now it's not just, for example, the management team, it's 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 associates potentially having access to information, let alone confidential data that maybe shouldn't be shared to the greater world. How have you seen instances of that, or how do you think about that? How do you approach that?
Yes, we have spent a tremendous amount of time over the last decade around security, of all parts of data. And we go through typically with our customers an extensive, what we call InfoSec evaluation to make sure that, everything is secure and locked down. And, the reality is that The associates, they will get cut off, immediately if they leave. But oftentimes what is on Axonify for them, we do not collect any personally identifiable information from anyone. But often what is on Axonify for an associate is just very specific to their job and the need of their job, and is often, I'm trying to think of, I can't think of a single customer we have who is publishing through the platform, financial data or any of that. It's
Okay.
typically not used for that. It's more product information, sales information, customer service information,
Yeah.
job tasking information, those sorts of things.
Okay.
I see that you have a timeline feature on in your platform, right? So I'm guessing there is some level of moderation that you do provide for the retailer to force
Exactly.
moderate.
Yes, exactly right. The retailer has full control over, gating items and, what they see, what they don't see, what gets published, what doesn't get published. It's all very controlled.
So who's using it at the retailer? I mean, what department is it? Marketing? Is it HR? Is it all of the above?
All of the above, store operations, yes, depending on what the need is. So if it is, product related pushing, they might want the marketing team involved in what those assets are that need to get pushed out to the associates. If it is just strictly training, it's often HR. So it really does depend on the use case.
Yeah, but boy, Shekar, think about what a powerful platform that is, especially in larger companies.
Yeah.
Where, the CEO can now effectively communicate with every associate, right? It's got a platform for that.
I had a word for this, Gary. I wrote a long time ago, I think on LinkedIn, digital proximity, right? So you now live in the world of digital proximity.
I
Right?
remember that conversation.
Yeah, and everybody's next to you, so you can tap them and digitally tap them in some sense, right? But
Yeah,
this is, I
exactly.
know, incredibly powerful. I mean, I have to think that if there's retailers listening to this episode, they want to know how to reach you, Carol, because I'm sure a lot of them have some way of reaching their employees, because obviously you can't run a business without that ability. But I think the ease with which they can do it, I think the different aspects of what you guys have built is so amazing. It's got to be very appealing. So if somebody was interested in reaching out, how would they go about doing that?
Well, we're easily accessible on the web, axonify.com. We have all the socials. I'm happy, Carol C. Leaman at axonify.com, reach out to me. We're really, really easy to connect with. And
Are you just US based and US and Canada, or are you?
we're in our head office is in Canada. We have a bunch of employees in the US. Most of our customers are headquartered in the US. But we have presence in 160 countries around the world. We're in 60 languages. So lots of international presence, and we do very, very well with large organizations at scale in multi-countries, multi-languages. It's something that is has been part of Axonify from the outset, which does in fact make us a little bit different than learning platforms that are more local or able to deal with smaller populations.
Terrific. So as we kind of wrap up here, so where's Axonify going? What do you see? What do you see the future of the platform? I can see that you've got roadmaps and roadmaps and roadmaps.
We absolutely do. And, we are, so a couple of things. We are in the throes of some exciting partnerships. I can't really talk about right now, but we've got some really exciting technology partnerships that we're working on. We also are looking at some new markets, and where are there outside of retail large populations of frontline workers that have the same sorts of characteristics, and also have a need, to communicate with those people and to
I mean, I can think
retain
of
them.
healthcare workers. I mean, that's like a massive need
Yeah,
right
I
there.
was thinking of healthcare. I'm thinking of travel, like the airlines and so on.
Yeah, I mean, it's like so many places
Exactly.
that you could potentially go to, right? So,
Totally, totally. We're evaluating all kinds of different thrusts, and then on
and
the product
Gary,
side.
I think I'm just thinking my wheels are turning, and I'm like thinking, is there a, we'll probably edit this out of the podcast anyway, but is maybe empowering these employees through this platform with some more personalized customer experiences where you can scan somebody's loyalty card and it can tell you what, pull up their history and do things for a more personalized experience
Yeah,
perspective.
no, I was thinking about that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whoever's editing this, please keep that out of this podcast because
yeah.
I
Well,
I don't want everybody listening to it. But yeah, I mean, I think there's just so many amazing possibilities with what you guys have built. Congratulations. I mean, this is fantastic. The fact that you're in 160 countries, and I think I saw a number 3.5 million people
yeah,
using your platform.
yeah.
When did you found the company?
2011.
Wow. So only 11 years old.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
Wow.
fantastic.
Yeah,
And you
no,
obviously have a lot of previous experience running companies as a CEO. I saw that there's a list of companies that you have been in leadership positions at.
yeah. Yes, I am actually a CPA by formal education, and fell into the technology business early in my career, and worked for a public company that bought a California-based technology company, and I became the CEO of that subsidiary, and then it just sort of went from there. And so I've been running technology companies now since around the year 2000, and Axonify is the longest one for sure. And just such a great opportunity, and each one that I've done gets successively easier in a sense because you don't make the same mistakes again. But there's just so much opportunity, and if you find an area of business that is underserved, and learning in retail has been underserved for decades, there's an opportunity to help, and we were lucky enough to do that.
Awesome.
Right.
Oh, that's terrific. I know it's been great chatting with you, and these 35 minutes are going to zoom by here. So, and I am sure this is going to be one of those episodes that's going to cause a lot of retailers to sit up and listen and re-listen and reach out and whatever they want to do. But it's been terrific chatting with you, Carol. Gary, any closing thoughts?
no, I'm glad you were with us today. And as Shekar said, I'm sure a lot of retailers and really beyond that, wholesalers, everyone across the retail industry be very intrigued with this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for having me.
Yeah, so we do have a parting gift, because if you do send us your mailing address, we'll make sure you get the Retail Perch mug. Coffee
Awesome.
mug. Yes, of course.
I will do that for sure.
Yeah, limited edition Retail Perch mug, so it's a prized possession. It's only guest.
Amazing. I will do that for sure. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate the opportunity, and thanks for the questions. Great questions. And I look forward to chatting with you both again sometime.
Make sure to join us every Monday and connect with us at the Retail Perch on Instagram and Facebook.
And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at theretailperch@birdseye.com.
Until next time, this is Shekar.
And this is Gary signing off.